We've created a file, and that will take care of pushing our objects or our file changes up into GitHub, and it'll basically tell us that we have a new branch called master, and this is going to be the main branch going forward for our projects. And so make a note of that, as we're going to refer to that and differentiate this branch from others in the future. Okay, so the next thing that I want to do is actually take a look at our changes and how they resulted in GitHub server. So to recap, we executed the command git add in order to add the README file, then git commit, followed by git push in order to actually save the changes to the GitHub server. Then we got this message below. So if we go on over to our GitHub server, we see that we're on our demo repository, so we're going to refresh this. And after refreshing, we see that the contents change. And the contents are basically have changed with the README file down below. So this is what we committed or added, committed, and pushed. So this message is displaying as intended. And if I look at the contents of this README file, it's exact and it parallels what I entered in my nano editor, the hashtag. This is my sandbox repo. So the changes that we made have been effectively uploaded to our Git repository. So in this next step, I want to add another file to my GitHub repository. I'll return to my terminal, quickly list out the contents, and I'm going to notice that the README file is here just as it is in my repository, so everything is consistent. Next, I'll type the command touch space index.html in order to create a file named index.html, which is actually completely blank and contains no content. So this file is empty in essence. So before I commit, I want to check which branch I'm in. So by default, I should be in my master branch. So I'll type git branch, and it's true. I am in my master branch, the only branch I have. Then I'll type git status just to see if there's anything I need to do that Git wants me to do, or wants to inform me of, rather. So just type git status. And I see here that it's saying I have a new file, index.html, in this red coloring. So there's something that needs to be done with this. So I will go ahead and type git add and index.html in single quotes, hit enter, and I'll type git status one more time to see if anything has changed. So as you can see, I'm basically staging a new file to be added to my repository. You can see the difference in colors as well. So now I'll commit it and append a message to it via git commit. So git commit -m, and then add a message with regards to the new file that I'm adding. So I'm adding my first page, single quotes, hit enter, and I've gone through the process of adding it. So if I type git status once again, there's nothing more to be done. Now it's time to push the changes to GitHub or to the server. So I'll type git push -u origin head, and this loads it to the server. And it's all ready to go. I get a quick confirmation message here about adding my files. So when I go back and refresh my repository, index.html is here, and if I actually click on the contents of index.html, I'll see that it's completely blank, just as the one I created locally. So that's it. For this exercise, let's edit our index.html page and add some text to it. As you recall, it's blank in our demo folder. So we'll be opening it up in any text editor. I'll use code for this. Is just some hypertext markup language, which is HTML, which is the base language to render or create HTML pages. So I'm defining some tags here, and I'll be giving this a title. This is my first page, and I'll just enter some simple text in the body of this page, and I'll call this, or I'll say rather, welcome to my first commit page. Then I'll save that. And so the next thing that you want to do after you entered any text that you want is you want to commit it, just like we did in the previous steps. So let's preview the contents of our directory, and everything is the same. Index.html is still there. And I'll leave you with a Git status. And after that, you can take it from here and commit your changes. Okay, so hopefully you found that pretty straightforward. Now, from the last video, I left you with Git status so that we can see that we modified our HTML file. We certainly did. So the next step is to hit Git add, type Git add. This time I'm placing a period. That means just all files. So commit -m, and I'll just place a message. Changes to my main page. Should be good enough. Now I've committed it. And if I type Git status, again, it's clear, so time to push it to the repository. And once we do that, it gets loaded and written up. And if we go to our repository, we click on index.html, we'll see that the changes we just made appear in our GitHub repository. So the next thing that I want to cover is creating new branches in Git. As you can see here, I have my master branch where I'm working on the main default branch called master. So I'm going to go into my demo folder, and as I can see, nothing has really changed from the last changes that I made, so everything is intact. Now I'm going to make some changes to my index file. So I want to start by creating 4 hyperlinks to 3 pages that I will create in a little bit. So I'll enclose my text in some paragraph tags here so that have some clean line breaks. My first page, a couple of minutes to preview the changes. So the next thing that I want to cover is creating new branches in Git. As you can see here, I have my master branch where I'm working on the main default branch called master. So I'm going to go into my demo folder, and as I can see, nothing has really changed from the last changes that I made, so everything is intact. Now I'm going to make some changes to my index file. So I want to start by creating 4 hyperlinks to 3 pages that I will create in a little bit. So I'll enclose my text in some paragraph tags here so that it can have some clean line breaks. My first page that I'm going to link to, I'm going to call it pink page. And I'll also create 2 other pages, as I said, a green page and a peach page. So what I'll do next is within the text, I'm going to create some hyperlink tags so that the text is linked to the new page. So these anchor tags will basically point to a pink.html page. And I'll move this text into between those anchor tags so that text serves as a link. I'll just copy and paste this line and paste it 2 more times for my other pages, the peach and the green page. And I will also update the text. I'll also create 1 more link, and that'll be for the home page or this index page that I'm working on here. So I'll update the link reference to index.html. Now, if I take a look at my actual files, I haven't created any new files. I still have my index.html file. I just modified that one in preparation for 3 new files. For the new files, I'm going to copy my index file. It'll be my template. And I'll paste 3 files into my demo folder, which will be my green, pink, and peach. So Command Control V. And I'll start renaming these to pink, green, and peach, respectively. So now I have 3 pages. My index and 3 new pages, pink, peach, and green. So I want to actually make some distinction between my pink, peach, and green page so that if I preview them, they look a little different. So I'll just add the text pink in here and change the background color to a pinkish color. Now, this is a hex color that'll render a pinkish background color if I were to open the page. And I will do the same for my peach page by entering peach text for the word peach and changing the background color to a peach-like color. And I'll save that and do the same for my green page. So again, set the background color to green or to a greenish color and add the word green as well. Okay, so now I've updated my 3 pages. I have my index, and if I preview the files that I have listed, I have 3 new files, green, peach, and pink. So now I'm ready to actually create a new branch, and I'll do that by checking the branch that I'm on right now, which is master. And the new branch, as you can see, we have master here, but the new branch is basically going to store these new changes that I made because I'm not ready to finalize them yet. So create a new branch by typing Git Checkout B, Git Checkout -B color changes, the name of my branch. And now it tells me that I switched over to my new branch color changes. So if I type Git branch, it's denoting here with this asterisk that I am in the color changes branch. So type Git status. And I see that it tells me I've modified my index file and that I created 3 new pages, which is my green, peach, and pink. And so they're not tracked yet. Now we'll need to add them to this branch. So I'll need to add these pages using the same steps that we've seen before. So now, again, confirming that I'm in the color changes branch, I will basically begin adding these 3 files by typing git add period for the period for adding all files, and my message, or git commit with my message, I'll put testing out color pages because, as I said, I'm not ready to finalize those. So that added these 3 files to the branch that I'm on, which is color changes. And what I want to do now is I want to save this branch of this work to GitHub. So I will type Git Push origin head with the -u parameter. And what I get next is a link for a pull request. Now, we're not necessarily going to go into a pull request right now, but that's basically when we agree that we want to commit these changes and make them and merge them into our master branch, but we'll talk about that later. So now, if I refresh my page, I'll see that my master has the same files, but if I switch over to my color changes, now I start seeing my green, peach, and pink file. So this is where my changes are I guess on hold or waiting for them to be committed. So here are the new changes in my message. So as you can see here, I have my three files locally. And if I were to say Git Checkout Master, or go back to the master branch, I would see that my files disappear and I only have the index page. But when I go back to Git Checkout color changes, I see that the files that are work in progress show back up. So now I want to take a moment to recap what we've done so far. So when we started out on GitHub, we created a repository called Demo. Demo created a master branch automatically. That is the main branch where the most up-to-date production-ready code should exist. So the first thing that we did was create a README file and push it to our master branch, so that exists in our master branch or existed in our master branch. Then we created a local file called index.html. Again, because we cloned the repository and it came with the master branch locally in our laptop or computer, we're working in the master branch. Next, we decided to take the index.html file that we created and then we pushed it up to GitHub. So working in the master branch, that particular file also was saved and stored in the master branch once we added the changes locally to our local master branch and committed it to the local master branch. Next, we decided to make some speculative changes, not permanent changes, but we wanted to understand or sample what a pink, green, and peach HTML file would look like. But since we're not ready to totally sign off on those three new files and the changes that we made into index.html, we decided to create another branch called color changes. Now, color changes exist here locally for us, but does not exist in GitHub just yet. But it does contain the changes we did to index.html and the three new files, pink, green, and peach.html. Next, we decided to commit, after adding and committing these files to our color changes branch, we then pushed that information up to GitHub. So now GitHub parallels what our laptop has, which is a master branch with the original copy of index.html and README, and the color changes branch, which not only includes the three files, but also includes the modified index.html and README file. So we actually saw that in one of the last videos. So up to that point, we're working with an original copy of our index.html and README file, and another copy that has three additional kind of speculative files or work in progress files, pink, green, and peach HTML. And that's what we've done up to this point. I want to take another couple of minutes to preview the changes that we've made to both the color changes branch and compare it to the master branch. So as you can see here, I am in my color changes branch. And in fact, the Visual Studio Code editor lets me know that I'm in my color changes branch. So this is kind of a neat feature that this editor has. But what I want to look at more importantly or want to preview more importantly are the files. So being in the color changes branch, and I can confirm that through my terminal. So if I say git branch, it'll confirm that I am in color changes. And again, color changes is the one that consists of these three additional files. I can see, or I can preview the files here. And so if I click on home page, this takes me directly to the index page. The pink page will take me to the other page with the pink background, the peach page to the peach page, and the green page to the green page. So you can see that this particular project, I guess this version of the project files under the color change branch have these three links. So if I were to go back to my master branch, right, and actually let's go to Visual Studio Code, and I see that these three are visible like we saw in one of our previous videos. But if I switch over to master, Git Checkout Master, and that is how you switch between branches. Type Git Checkout and then the name of the branch. One thing I should note is that I had some typos in my previous files. This actually said HMTL. It should have said HTML. So if you copy this word for word, just please change that or update that yourself. So let me take a moment to actually make these changes. And so I'll just say git add, git commit, message is proper file names, and I will push this to my repository, Git Push origin head. And so now I have updated my color changes branch. So as I was saying, if you take a look at the branch that you're on, we are on color changes. Now if I want to go over to master, right, so I'm going to say Git Checkout Master in order to go to my master branch. These three files are kind of going to disappear, and we are actually going to have the original version of the index file, right? So the index file, our original version, doesn't have any links to it. So if I go back to my index page that I'm previewing through my browser and I just hit refresh, boom, those things are gone. So you can see that through the changing of branches, we're able to toggle back and forth between two different versions of our code. And that is important because it's kind of like saying, well, I'm testing some stuff out. I'm not really sure that I will want to commit to my changes. So I'm just going to store them separately. And that's like the power of Git, that it allows you to work on multiple versions. That's why it's called version control. And, being able to work on it independently without making changes to the master branch, which is like the main code base. So now when I actually checked out, when I switched over to any color changes, Git Checkout color changes, I'll have like these three files show up again. And if I go back to my browser and refresh, there I go again. So that is the visual, demo that I wanted to make sure that you guys get to see, so you can truly understand what's going on with Git and the power or usefulness of Git itself. In this video, I'm going to rewind the clock a little bit and take us back to the point where we first pushed our changes in our color change branch. So if you recall, we basically initiated a couple lessons ago a Git Push origin head to save the changes we made to the green, peach, and pink page. Then we got prompted with this create pull request message. This pull request message, you will get it the first time that you push a branch to GitHub, and it is going to basically provide you with a link to click to, and this is for a pull request. So what this pull request does is basically take your code, if you're ready, it'll take the code that you just modified, and it'll be the first step in combining it with your main branch or your master branch. So I'm going to hit Control and then click on this, and it's going to open up a new page, and it's automatically going to fill in the information to create a pull request. And you can see here my last message on the commit was adding color pages. So basically, all you really have to do is just leave a comment as to why you're requesting this pull request, why you're requesting for your peers to review your code, and then combine it with the main code base in the master branch. Typically, if you are working with peers, you would fill in their name or someone's name here in the reviewer section. But since we're not doing that, we can completely skip that part. And so here I'll leave a comment and say, adding new wonderful color pages. Okay. And then I'll click on pull request or create pull request, that button. And next, what I'm being asked is, do you want to merge the pull request? Now, typically once a reviewer takes a look at this, they'll approve it, and then either you or the reviewer can merge it. But in this case, since it's just us, we will go ahead and click on merge pull request. So basically we're saying, take this code in color changes, these 3 new additional files, and place them or combine them in the master branch that only has the index file. So now I'm going to say merge pull request, or click on merge pull request to confirm the merge. And after that, once that is done, I get this little icon up here that says merged. So basically it's saying the changes in your color change branch got added to master, and let's take a look at that. So we again at master. Let's just refresh. Well, there we go. Now that already showed us that the code or the pages got combined into master. So like now, the pages or the changes that we had in color changes are now part of the master branch. So any changes that we made there are now actually reflected in master. The last thing that I wanted to touch on is this message down here that says your pull request was successfully merged and closed. What do you want to do with your branch? I recommend you delete it simply because as you commit more and more code changes in the future, the number of branches is going to just continuously grow here. So if you really do not need that code at your immediate disposal, I recommend just deleting the branch, and that takes care of it from popping up in that menu. Of course, if you always want to restore your branch, you certainly can do that by going to your previous pull request and then restoring branch. But once we do that, I'll refresh, then that branch no longer appears here, and it's just kind of a cleaner working space. Okay, the final thing that I want to touch on before we head off and do is the pulling of the changes that you just committed to GitHub. So locally, if I look at my local branch, or where I'm at locally, I can say git branch, or type git branch, I'm on my color changes branch. And I can list out my files, and I'll see that I'll have green, index, pink, and all the other changes that I made. But if I check out back to master, right, and I list the pages, I only have these 2 pages. So that is evident when I go back to Visual Studio. And again, I'm in my master branch and only see that I have the index.html page. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to actually pull the changes from GitHub, right? The new changes that you just combined and merged, because that doesn't happen locally. It only happens on the cloud on the GitHub server. So what you will be doing is you'll say you will make sure that you're on the master branch. You can type git branch to ensure you're on master. If you're not on master, just simply type git checkout master, and that'll take you to the master branch. And at that point, you will say git pull. And once you hit enter on git pull, it basically gives you a summary of the files that it pulled down, which is green, peach, and pink .html pages. And so now, if I return to my Visual Studio Code, I see that I am on master and I have the green, peach, and pink page. So that's very important. So you're not working on old code. You want to make sure that you always pull down the latest version of master, just in case you or anyone else made any changes, and you want to work off of the latest, approved set of code. So you can actually run git pull anytime. just to kind of get the changes. And if you're up to date, you're up to date. And if there's new changes, then of course you'll get a notification. That's definitely good practice.